award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We have an awesome show set up for you today. It's our first show with a live studio audience. So, Todd, hit the switch, buddy. There, you see behind us, we have a live studio audience. Woohoo! We are live at the ACI convention in Nashville, Tennessee. ACI is what, Don?
The Association for Conservation Information, and it's the membership is communications professionals from all around the country that either work for a state wildlife agency like we do, or a federal agency, or have some connection with conservation in some way. So you have these conferences and you get to know folks, and it's a great way to communicate with them kind of behind the scenes and trade ideas. And we've had some really good presentations this week. So it's been a great conference so far.
It has been. And it's been a fun time hosting everyone here, and I appreciate them being on the show. This is our first. This is the largest number of guests we've had on the show.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's awesome. They can't say anything, though. I've asked them to be quiet so the recording goes well. But anyway, our guest, Jason Holland. You all know Jason Holland. If you're out there watching and listening, you've heard him, seen him, and we're glad to have him on the show today.
Always a pleasure. I appreciate you inviting me, and thanks for inviting me in front of a bunch of people that do this for a living. So no pressure on me whatsoever. But now I always love doing the Wildcast. So I always have a great time. Hopefully provide some education, and ultimately just try to get the word out a little bit more about fishing, but just trying to get people outside, staying outside, and enjoying all the great resources from here locally, the state, and of course across the country.
Well, this is a good chance for you to make some connections. These guys may want to.
Well, I mean, you never know. I am available.
Work with you, yeah.
I'm expensive, but quality's not cheap. So,
and Jason is a regular guest on our show. Good fishing tips, and as he said, just general rah-rah for the outdoors.
Hey, that's what we all love to do. And the great thing about this type of platform is we talk about fishing and techniques and all the different pieces that go into it, but it's even more exciting of the fact that we get, hopefully, our passion for the outdoors comes across through these types of events and motivates people to, get out and enjoy it. We are very, very blessed here locally and across our great country to have some amazing resources to get out and take advantage of them.
And amazing people that help us get the word out.
That's exactly right. It wasn't for them. It would not have the overall reach that we do. So it's exciting to be asked and be a part of it as always.
Yeah. Well, tell us how ICAST was. You were at ICAST?
I was. ICAST was last week. And so for people that are not familiar with ICAST, it's an industry trade show where everybody that's in the fishing business or a lot of just the outdoor business, anywhere from, coolers, apparel, you name it, they all get together in Orlando, Florida, and we get to see what's coming out for the following year. Much like this, you get to make some connections and build some relationships and ultimately help, move the overall outdoor industry forward. So had a great ICAST. We're like everything else, man. We're just dragging, trying to you lose a week and then you're sleeping 10 hours in 5 nights. So it's a lot of fun. ICAST was great. Actually saw some folks from the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency was there, so got to spend some time with Jennifer and got to make some great connections there. So ICAST was awesome. I tell you what, get ready. There's some really cool stuff coming out for the overall outdoor industry, especially in the fishing sector.
Obviously, you were there with Cashin, and
I was, yeah. So that's my full-time gig. I work for Cashin Fishing Rods. We manufacture fishing rods here in the States. We're one of only a couple left that actually make fishing rods domestically. We're the only one that I'm aware of that actually makes the fishing blank and the grips. And, of course, we assemble. So, really very, very blessed to be part of that company and to be able to talk through and bring that technology to the fishing industry. And, of course, I try to go fishing as much as I can personally.
I know when we first started having you as a regular guest, Cashin was one of the things you talked about. You were motivated because of the quality of the product, being made in America, and you just loved the product. Well, and you weren't working for him at that point.
I was not.
Yeah. So speaking of being blessed, that's great. You were able to make that connection and go to work for them.
Yeah, Don, it was fantastic. Just through connections. Everything moves at the speed of relationship, and so got to start there and build a relationship, and was working a full-time job and another career. And after 20 years, was able to move full-time into the fishing industry. So now I've married up my passion and a career, and all I do now is work. And which is, I think a lot of people in this room can speak and attest to that. But I wake up every morning smiling. I get to talk about fishing in the outdoors every single second of my life.
Awesome.
To the detriment of my wife, who is sick of hearing about fishing and lures and fishing rods. But it's been a great transition. So very, very blessed. And, our relationship just have been able to start there and grow. And, it's been a big part of the overall success that being in the industry. So excited about it. I'm excited today to talk about spinnerbaits.
Yeah. What do we have?
Man, listen, I don't know how deep. Well, I know time is not going to let us get too far into the weeds, but there is a ton of stuff. Spinnerbait fishing is a lot of guys started. I mean, when they got into the fishing with their grandpa or with their dad, spinnerbait has been around, I think, since the invention of time. It's kind of one of those lures that just, it's been a mainstay. And so there's so many nuances with it, much like any type of fishing, especially when you get into the overall nuances of it. And listen, we can get into the weeds and we'll talk about overall weights and weight displacements and forward heads and, weight. But for this time, we have a very limited ability. So we're going to kind of hit high level, and hopefully next one that we do, we can dive a little bit deeper into it. But spinnerbait fishing, I mean, it's caught in my opinion, almost as many fish in the bass sector as the plastic worm. And it's been around for a long, long time. So we're going to dive into that. We'll dive into the line, the rod, the reel. We'll talk about the overall just speed of retrieve. We'll talk about some of the nuances. And we'll try to keep it fun, interesting. And I don't want everybody to sit and just completely tune out because I get way too in-depth about size of blades and clevises. But spinnerbait fishing is a ton of fun. It's one of those bites that once you ever get bit on a spinnerbait, you want to do it over and over because they're trying to kill it. Right? Yeah. So it's a reaction bite. It's tapping into their overall predatory mindset, and when they hit it, they're trying to kill it. And man, that bite is fun. If you can get a kid to catch a fish on a spinnerbait, he's done. I mean, he's going to be chasing that feeling for the rest of his life.
Well, it's something they don't have to stand there and wait or try to feel that bite. They're cranking. And it's exciting to feel that.
Yeah, you're moving, right? And that's the whole thing, especially when you have younger kids. Of course, we talked about before on the show, hey, when you take them fishing for the first time, get them live bait, let them catch a bunch of fish. You don't want to – my grandpa, dear Lord, he had a strong hand when it came to kids going fishing. I mean, you didn't talk, you didn't breathe, you didn't move. If you did that, I mean, you were out of the boat or you're going, off the bank headed to the truck.
And wearing camo too, even, so the fish didn't see you.
I mean, no bright colors. I mean, he was way over the top. But I appreciate where he's coming from. Of course, just didn't, I think, have the overall ability. Again, this is kind of where the education part comes in, understanding how that doesn't play as much as the old-timers thought that it did, even though it has a place. But my point was, to take them fishing for the first time, a couple times, let them catch a bunch of bluegill, get a love for it. And then as they grow into the sport and begin to do it, get them into a lure or a bite that is absolutely vicious. And once they feel that tug and that hit, man, they're officially hooked. So spinnerbait is a great way to do that. And you can do a lot of different things with the spinnerbaits, and you can throw a spinnerbait pretty much any place across the country and catch fish, from ponds to creeks to your main reservoirs, highland reservoirs. It doesn't matter. A spinnerbait just does a great job of mimicking the forage of the bait fish that are there. And then you just start making tweaks, right? Everything is, you start with the high level and then begin to let your addiction grow, and you just get ate up with it, and you start finding every nuance. And ultimately, you're trying to catch more fish than the guy, in the other boat. And spinnerbaits do a really great job of that.
Well, that's kind of some of the things you're mentioning is how this show kind of got started, because previous comments on YouTube said, I'd love to see something on spinnerbaits, how you do this, how you do that, what kind of water you're going to fish it in. So I'm excited to learn today. Yeah. So let's just start with the rod type and the reel type.
All right, let's do it. So Todd, make me look pretty all right. I'm going to try to put this up here so everybody can see it. Of course, cash and fishing rod.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Why would I not have anything else in my hand? It's a shameless plug for the company I work for. But this specific rod is a multi-purpose rod. It's a 7.4 medium heavy on the power. It's a mod fast on the action. All that means is you want a rod that's going to have a little bit deeper bend. So when you set the hook, it's going to have the ability to load up and drive that hook home. The other piece of it is that we're going to talk two different types, but in this scenario, you want a longer rod where you can make longer casts.
Okay.
All right, so between a 7.1 to a 7.4, 7.5 is going to really fit that bill. So multi-purpose rod, got a loose reel. So really, use whatever reel you want, whatever you're comfortable with. The main thing is gear ratio. All gear ratio means very high level is how much line gets picked up every time you turn the crank, right? So you want kind of middle of the road. You, as the angler, you're the one that needs to speed it up or slow it down, depending on what's going on. Mm-hmm. This is a 6-4 to 1. That's going to be a really good opportunity to, like I said, make those adjustments on the fly based on what the fish are doing. Line. So we're going to talk pound test at this point. We're not going to talk into specific types of line.
Sure.
Fluorocarbon. I don't know where you're at, Todd. I'll get up shoulder high so you don't yell at me later. Fluorocarbon, I highly recommend fluorocarbon for this type of fishing. It's going to be really clear. It's also going to, it sinks. All right, so that's going to help you from a depth perspective. You also can use braid if you're fishing in grass. Though, say here locally in the state, Chickamauga's got a bunch of hydrilla and milfoil in it. And if you're going through the top of that, having some stronger line like a braid will work real well. Problem with braid is just get ready. You're throwing braid. It's very limp. It's going to wrap around your blade every now and then when you're casting it. Just get ready. It's part of it, but the headache of that is worth what you benefit when you're in that scenario. So we're going to talk about line tensile strength. So I'm going to rate anywhere between 15-pound and 20-pound test. That depends on what I'm doing. If I'm fishing, let's just say, let me go to the next scenario. This is for making real long casts. Second is going to be if you're doing roll cast around docks, right? So a lot of lakes have got tons of docks on them, got wood lay down, and you want to make very precise roll cast, shrink your rod. All right, don't work yourself to death with a 7.2 or 7.3. Get somewhere like a 6.6 or a 6.9 length rod. And that's going to give you the ability to make really short, precise roll casts. In that scenario, you're going to want a medium power on your a medium to medium heavy, depending on your weight. But the main thing is you want to change your overall action. In those scenarios, you get real short casts. You've got to get them coming to you real fast before they wrap around the dock leg or before they get into into branches or whatever the case may be. So you don't want a mod fast action. You want a fast action, which all that means is that the tip is going to have a lot more flex, and then it all turns into the backbone. So when you get to bite, you can set the hook, and then the power kicks in so you can drag them out. So it's a little bit more maybe detailed than we want to get.
No, it's good. It's good.
Roll cast short. When you want to get them moving and you want to get them going to you real fast before they wrap you up, go with the fast. If you're making long bomb casts across maybe a big flat with a bunch of stumps, do a mod fast. It's going to help you with hookups. All right. Rod, reel, line, we all covered there.
Got it.
All right. I will talk Gamma. Gamma is a great, great company. They're based here in the States. They do a fantastic job. Shameless plug for Gamma, but really, really like their product. Now we're going to talk about the lure itself. And so spinnerbaits, man, they're all over the board. There's Indiana blades, there's Willow Leaf blades, there's Colorado blades, there's forward weight on the spinnerbait, meaning that the head of on the bait is has more lead up there. And they also have, and we'll kind of go through those. You also have where it's kind of a hidden weight, where the weight is actually lower on the hook shank and is get covered up by the overall skirt. Everything has an application. You got anywhere from quarter ounce all the way down to stuff that you throw on, say, Kentucky Lake on the ledges, and you're 25, 30 feet deep. That's going to be an ounce to an ounce and a half on a spinnerbait. Man, there is a massive spectrum. So my recommendation is, man, just don't get over your skis with it as you're getting into it. Pick with the 3/8 if you're going to be shallow. Stick with a half ounce. A half ounce is probably the most all-around size that you're going to throw on a spinnerbait. But 3/8 to half ounce, it's going to do 95% of what you want to do. So we'll talk a little bit about blades and colors. So before I get into that, storage of spinnerbaits is an absolute nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
It's one of the biggest pains, and they're everywhere. You got silicone skirts. They get too hot, they'll melt.
Yeah.
Then you're trying to
they rot.
Yeah. Then you got the bands, depending on is it hand tied or is it silicone? With the holding the overall.
Yeah.
They can be a hassle. So I have no connection with this company whatsoever. But this company is called Bass Mafia. This is actually the blade coffin. I know. It's fantastic marketing. Right? We're talking about death and fishing all at the same time. But it does a great job of Todd, you getting those? All right. Those they hold them very well. They just kind of pop open. And then, of course, you can see this is one of 3 boxes that I have.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah,
Can I see one of those?
Yeah. I have an addiction. It's all right.
It don't come out.
No. Here's what's cool. So to get it out.
Oh, you just pop it.
You pop it there. And then you get to it. So it's actually got a rod that the little...
Yeah, I see now, yeah.
Yeah, the little...
It's like a 3-ring binder for your spinnerbait.
Nice.
It's actually not a bad idea. But for folks that are trying to figure out, this is a great way to store them. You can store a bunch. I don't know how many this holds. I'm going to take a guess of 20-ish, maybe 25.
Yeah.
At least.
And it fits real well in your boat, or if you're in a backpack or whatever, you can carry a bunch, hard plastic, and makes dealing with spinnerbaits much easier.
Yeah.
Still a pain. It's still just a pain, but that works really, really well. All right, so we're going to talk, and I got some of them laid out here. We don't have time to go into every single one, but we're going to hit a couple of the most popular. So this is going to be the most popular style. All right, you're going to have a willow leaf, 2 different sizes, and then you're going to have. Well, let me back up. What is a spinnerbait? All a spinnerbait does is, of course, you got your skirt that you're going to work and it's going to flare, and you also have these that spin. As they spin, they put off a flash. Ultimately, trying to mimic, a shad, a fleeing shad, or maybe even a group of them. That's all it is. And you throw it, it spins, creates a bunch of displacement of water, taps into the lateral line, which, gets their attention, and then they're over there to see it, then pop, and it's a ton of fun. So that's a spinnerbait. Now, spinnerbaits there's inline spinners, there's buzz baits, there's just a whole plethora of anything with the blade that helps displace water and track the tension. But again, we're going to stick with the tried and true spinnerbait. Willow leaf, so you got a smaller one, you got a larger one, you got this clevis right here, and that blade slides up and down. And so as you're working and as you're popping it, again, it's movement and attracts attention. So color-wise, you can go all over the board. Who watched the show before? Yeah. I'm a huge fan of red.
Right.
So I'm going to have red in most of my spinnerbaits if they're white or a bone color, anything I'm trying to mimic a shad. I just like red. I don't know, works or not.
Look at your tackle box.
Yeah, that's apparently I like red a lot. I don't know. Everything I buy is red. But when it comes to fishing lures, I like the just because it gives them something, again, to key in and focus on. But this one actually has a couple things that we talked about. As you see on this one, this is actually a half-ounce spinnerbait, but it has a very small head, comparatively speaking. This, as you can see, all the weight is actually poured down the shank of the hook. All that does is it gives you the same weight, but it shrinks your profile of your overall bait, where this one, for example, has a much larger head.
Yeah.
Same exact weight, right? They're both a half-ounce spinnerbait, but this one doesn't have any weight down the backside.
Okay.
You added a trailer to that one.
I did. So
a red hook.
Shocking. All right. Thanks for pointing that out. It also has red eyes. So, I had no idea why. But going this, again, a different style, where this is important is if you have a larger, depending on time of year, but if you have a larger bait fish, right? So you're making those small tweaks and adjustments to try to get additional bites, right? So I could take any of these and throw them and get some bites. All we're doing with tweaks is trying to get one more. And that's just the overall addiction that we all deal with. But again, once you have the overall profile, all you're doing is just dialing it in, trying to get additional bites. So, did notice, this has got a trailer hook. So this is more for open water. If I'm throwing around wood, if I'm throwing around docks and make those, I do not throw a trailer hook because it's going to hook everything. It won't catch. I'll get a bite and miss the fish, but if it gets near a log, it somehow gets hung up. It's just the nature of it. But open water, I throw a trailer hook because you will pick up the short strikes. There's a couple different types of trailer hooks. This one actually is just kind of a free-flowing. It's got if you can see, a piece of surgical tubing that just holds it on, and so it's a free-flowing. Also, I've got some that you hook on, and it holds it in place more steady so it doesn't have that drop. Personally, I like the free-flowing. I feel like I get more
realistic, too.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, again, it doesn't have any friction, right? So it doesn't have anything. So when a bass bites it, it doesn't give him the ability to get leverage, right? This is anywhere he goes and whatever he does, it's going to be able to free flow and not get a leverage point where he can pop the hook. So again, color-wise, keep it pretty simple. I keep a lot of whites, a little bit of whites and chartreuse. This one is a fire tiger. It is a great time in the spring. Especially around smallmouth. Anything that's more of a sight feeder, they love those bright colors. So this one actually looks really nice. So I don't think I have thrown this one at all. But, and again, when you look at them, you don't look at specific colors. Also in this...
Well, back to colors real quick.
Come on.
Darker colors, would you do dark colors, darker water?
Yeah, and it's pretty much the rule of thumb.
Okay.
If you're going to be in stained water at night, if you're throwing spinner baits at night in the summer are absolutely killer. I throw a black spinnerbait with I don't have one with me, but it's a massive Colorado blade. It is huge, and it thumps.
So it feels like the fish is already on.
Yeah, it's thump. You actually feel it on through. And all you're doing, again, you're just tapping into that lateral line to get them to pay attention to what's going on. And then a darker profile actually shows up better in darker water, right? Because all you're trying to do is silhouette. So there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube. Go out and check it out. But it's amazing because originally I thought, man, if it's dark water, I want the brightest color I can find. I want white. I want it to glow.
Yeah.
Well, it actually works in reverse. So they're looking for the profile in darker stained water at nighttime. So a darker bait actually profiles better in darker water. So sunnier, go lighter, darker, go darker. I know it's counterintuitive, but it actually works.
It works.
You can go out there and check it out.
People are doing it.
Yeah, just don't believe me. Go out there and you can research it. But so color-wise, in the spring, I love red. I mean, everything's red. Trailer, we'll get into trailers here in a second, but the spinnerbait's red, the blades are red, the trailer's red. Springtime, I don't know. I would love to say I'd had some kind of scientific, and I'm sure somebody in this room probably could tell me why that's a good idea. But springtime, I throw red, and then from there, as the seasons change, I'll just focus on exactly what the forage looks like. Only thing that gets different is if you go up north. If you're fishing some big flats on the Great Lakes, again, smallmouth sight feeders, throw the most obnoxious color I could find. I mean, if it's pink and glowing, neon, they love it. So that's really the only change or caveat to it, but just kind of match. We all say it, match the hatch, and it gets overused. But ultimately, you're trying to mimic what the bass are feeding on. See what that is.
All right. So is it different for, say, a Highland reservoir or another different types of bodies of water? Here in Tennessee, we got a lot different.
Yeah, we do. So only thing I do differently is if it's a clear water. Personally, I always just shrink down the overall, make it more compact.
Okay.
Right, and that's really the only adjustments that I make. Dale Hollow is a prime example, right? You get springtime, you get as super shallow as you possibly can get. I mean, all the way back in the pockets and there's very little shallow water on Dale Hollow, but find the skinniest water I can, and I'll take, actually this is a great one. It's itty bitty. This is a 1/4 ounce. Smallmouth, absolutely destroy it. Now, can I catch them on a bigger one? Yeah, absolutely. But I get more bites, more consistent bites on taking a smaller profile, smaller presentation, getting it super skinny. Trick in that, kind of going back to the reel, is you got to wheel it. You got to wheel.
We got to wheel
it.
Wheel
it or reel it. Pick whatever one you want to do. You need to reel it as fast as you possibly can, right? So again, we're trying to trigger and make them react, right? You want that instinct to kick in. They want us to go and smash it because they're the predator. In that case, I mean, you're burning it as fast as you can. So having a reel that's in the middle of the road, it gives me the ability to speed it up, slow it down, whatever I need it to do. But if you're fishing for smallmouth, get a small spinnerbait, reel it as fast as you possibly can. Now, we'll talk about blades just real fast, and we don't have time to get all into what they do. But for speed, right, what happens is if you have the wrong blade and try to reel it real fast, it will blow out, meaning it's going to roll, it's going to lose cavitation, and then you're going to have to stop it, stop reeling, let it sink back down the straight, and then start it again. So really, when you get into a position where you need to burn a spinnerbait, use a willow leaf. Right, this is this long teardrop looking one.
Okay.
And they actually make some in the marketplace. Strike King makes one I think it's called the Razor. But anyway, they're designed for speeding, going really fast, and they build the blades around that type of scenario. If you're doing something just, day in, day out, you can do, take this one, which has actually 2 willows. Let me show you this one real quick. As you can see, the willow, but it also has an Indiana blade.
Okay.
Right, so that provides some thump. This provides the flash. And a day-to-day, all right, this is going to be what you see most spinnerbaits is just two willow leaf blades. That's kind of the standard. And then you get into, like I talked about, if you're night fishing, you get a big Colorado blade. Can't reel it real fast just because it's gonna roll on you and blow out. But man, the thump of that is absolutely fantastic. So again, it depends on what you're going to try to do, and that's why I've got a box. Well, I've got 3 boxes, but of one box of 20 plus spinnerbaits. Now,
and then you got 16 rods already rigged up, ready to go too.
17, but who's counting, right? Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. Hopefully, my wife does not see this show and understand that I have 17 combos sitting there ready to go just for throwing spinnerbaits. But you can do a lot of different things with it. Again, I always talk about for the guy that's got a budget or he's taking his kids, and you don't have to get this crazy with it, right? Go out and get a 3/8 and a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait. Get it in white with a willow leaf. Start there. Go get cheap mono fishing line. Yep. Right? Will it work? Yeah. Is it perfect? No.
Can we throw it on a Zebco 33?
You can throw it. I mean, you should tie it to your finger and chunk it out. It don't matter. I mean, you can throw it on anything you want to. But again, stay within your budget. It's very easy to let your passion get ahead of your overall common sense. We've seen it how many times. Just stay within your budget. Be smart. You can still catch fish on it. You don't have to go as crazy and in the weeds as we get with it, but at least you now have the information. Ultimately, it's what the whole show's about. It's just trying to educate. Hey, here is where you can go with it, but keep it simple. Man, go and get just a monofilament, get 12 or 15 pound monofilament, get you a couple spinner baits. You're going to have a grand total of $12 or $15 investing with it, and just go chunk it in your local pond.
And like you said, that thump is gonna do it no matter what you
No matter what you're doing. And man, again, like that bite, they are trying to kill it, and they absolutely will pull it out of your hand. And the great thing about it is, especially with the moving bait, with a single hook moving bait, you're going to miss some fish every now and then. But what's great about it, especially with kids, most of them, when they get a bite, everything just falls apart, right? They get excited. They just completely forget what they're supposed to do. So a lot of with a spinnerbait, you can just keep reeling it, and a lot of times it will actually hook it itself. So you don't have to have some big, massive hook set, especially for younger kids that just – I still get excited. I mean, I get a bite, I fall apart sometimes. So it's a spinnerbait, it helps fill that gap, because ultimately when you get the bite, that's a lot of fun. But getting that fish in and holding it and taking pictures, that's ultimately what the end goal. Spinnerbaits do a really good job of that. All right.
So we like missile?
We do like missile. I actually got 3 different brands here of trailer.
You have to go fast. We're going to run out of time.
Yeah, I knew it. That's what happens. You can't put a guy that likes to talk on a show where you have a limited amount of time.
That's why I hire the guy who likes to talk, so I don't have to talk.
All right, we're going to hit 2 actually 3 different type of styles for trailers. So on a trailer, you take the trailer hook off, right? And all we're doing now is just trying to mimic a little bit more, and we're trying to beef up the overall package of what we're presenting, right? So if we need a bigger, Todd, can you make him stop? All right, so you got a missile makes a shockwave. It's just a paddle tail, like a swim bait, again, giving it that swim bait profile. Check these out. Different colors. Just match them to your spinnerbait. If you have to go, just go white.
Okay.
Never go wrong. Also, one that's kind of a sleeper is the brush hog. We all throw a brush hog on a single hook and like a Texas rig. A brush hog is a fantastic spinnerbait trade. It's actually how I got started originally back with Zoom 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I use the mid-size one. Makes a really good one. They make a baby one that works as well. The other one I want to hit on is
local.
Yeah. This guy's name is John Nelson. He's fantastic. I have no association with John other than I know him, and I believe in what he does. Actually gets these done. Local company.
Neat.
And it is more of a crawl type, but the trick is you don't rig it with the claws like this. You rig it with the claws like this.
Okay.
So don't have time to go into that. But check out Torn Outdoors. Check out Missile Baits. These are all fantastic chances to get out and do it. So, hey, thanks again. Thanks for everybody for not yelling too much. Appreciate it as always. And again, check out Jason Holland Fishing, your faith, your family, and the fishing. 3 most important things. Keep them in that order. You'll be great.
Yeah. Man, Jason, appreciate you being here. It's always fun. We learn a lot, and I don't have to do so much talking.
Well, you're welcome. That's why I'm here.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, sure. I know the folks love it, and they're learning a lot, so that's what it's all about. Thank you for watching Tennessee Wildcast. Always check out our social media. Visit our website, tnwildlife.org. Go buy a license, get outside, have fun, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee Wildcast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.